You ever wake up thinking it's going to be just another quiet Saturday sun peeking through the blinds? Maybe some coffee, a little breakfast. Maybe you catch your breath before the week starts again only to step outside and realize your life is about to get blasted all over the internet because of one woman with a clipboard and way too much time on her hands? Yeah, that happened. The screeching of metal on asphalt was my wake-up call, the kind you never forget, echoing down the block as a tow truck steel cable latched onto the front bumper of what looked, admittedly, like a tank map black, bomb squad stenciled in white, enough emergency gear in the dash to make NASA jealous. If the suburbs had a war room, this would be it. And there, practically putting on a show for an audience that didn't ask to buy tickets, stood Karen Clipboard in one hand, phone in the other, narrating like some off-brand news anchor gone rogue. "This vehicle," she boomed in her camera, "is a terrorist threat. I am executing a citizen's tow for the safety of this entire block. I swear, you couldn't make this stuff up." Across the street, I saw a guy burst out of his house in pajama pants and an old Yoda t-shirt, hair all wild, half awake, but already mad as hell because that guy was me. And you know what? That truck wasn't some random icerite, it was my assigned state bomb squad vehicle, parked there on official orders, signed off by the mayor, the county, hell, Homeland Security. But to Karen, all that paperwork meant squat. She just stared at me like I'd parked a UFO, shoving her clipboard in my face while she declared, "You can't just park military death machines in family neighborhoods." The tow truck driver, poor guy, started cranking the winch right as the vehicle's security system locked down, lights flashing, sirens warbling, a robotic voice blaring. "Potential explosive threat detected, evacuate perimeter." That was the moment the show really started. Neighbors ducked behind trash bins. Some just stood there, mouths open, not sure if they should run or call the news. "Karen?" She froze, somewhere between righteous fury and, "Oh no, I might actually have to explain this to a real cop." Let me back up a sec. Name's Mike Henderson. I moved here just a few weeks ago, decent neighborhood, good schools, mostly folks grilling out on weekends, the usual HOA rules hanging over your head like storm clouds that haven't quite broken. My job's high-stress enough bomb technician, 12 years on the line, more adrenaline in a day than most people want in a lifetime, but most days the biggest drama I expected was someone's labradoodle digging in my mulch. Not anymore. Not after Karen. First time we met, I was dragging my bins to the curb. She zeroed in on my neighborhood watch badge she'd probably printed herself, eyes sharper than airport security. "Is that your vehicle?" she asked, like she was expecting me to confess to a felony. I explained calmly it was my assigned truck, I was on call, everything by the book. She just muttered, "We'll see about that," and stomped away like she owned the street. Next thing I know, there's a passive-aggressive note taped to my mailbox, something about aesthetic harmony and scaring children. Citing HOA bylaws she clearly wrote herself. Every couple days, a new complaint showed up-loud tires, weird antennas, hazard decals designed to incite anxiety. I started keeping a folder. Labeled it Karen versus Logic Volume 1. The HOA board? Mostly nodded and looked tired. No one wanted to tangle with her. Can't blame them. Her energy was nuclear. But that morning, when she called in the tow truck and started live-streaming her citizen's arrest, things got out of hand. I tried everything, showed her my badge, authorization letters, every bit of documentation you could imagine. She just doubled down, shouting that I was impersonating a federal agent, some kind of prepper with a homemade tank. When the truck's defense system kicked in, lights spinning, alarms blaring, a recorded warning about security breaches, I screamed at the tow guy to stop, and he jumped back like he'd touched a live wire. Karen's phone feed cut off. The neighbor kids ran out, filming with their phones, turning the whole thing into a viral circus. Cops showed up fast. My supervisor called them before I could, since the truck's tamper alarm had triggered a citywide alert. Unmarked SUVs, real federal officers. My boss stepped out, looked at Karen, then at the truck, and just sighed. Not another HOA incident. Karen, still convinced she was saving the world, yelled at the cops, waving her phone like a badge, demanding we all get tested for performance-enhancing drugs because, in her words, normal people don't react that fast. You know what I mean? That was just the beginning. Karen had declared war, and the battlefield was every inch of this cul-de-sac. You'd think bomb disposal was high-stakes re-arguing with a woman who believes HOA rules outrank federal law. She wasn't just a nosy neighbor, she was a one-woman neighborhood security state, patrolling with her phone and a thick stack of bylaws. And then, the videos started going viral. One clip her ducking behind a bush, yelling, "This is my community. I demand an evacuation," hit 200,000 views by lunch. A TikTok account called HOA Insanity picked it up. My phone blew up with texts from old squad mates. "Dude, you're famous. Suburban bomb wars." I tried to laugh, but it got serious fast. Karen doubled down, started telling everyone I was hiding weapons, part of a shadow military network. She wore sunglasses everywhere, talked into a Bluetooth headset that wasn't even on, started calling herself Karen V. Sutherland, civilian intelligence analyst. She sent a letter to Homeland Security full of random acronyms, red circles drawn on grainy truck photos, and a made-up expert named Dr. Stanley Homeworth. Homeland didn't take her seriously, but they did call me. That was a weird conversation. At the next HOA board meeting, she did a whole PowerPoint, handed out glossy pamphlets with my picture on them, signs of covert militarization, claimed the truck's dashboard lights could trigger panic attacks in seniors, played a looped video of the truck security alert, said I was intimidating dissenters. I kept my cool, explained my job, provided every clearance document, but Karen just shrieked that I was militarizing suburbia. Things escalated. 2 men in black suits knocked on my door. Not because of Karen, but because someone, guess who, had tampered with my plates. Turns out, she tried to photograph the undercarriage. The agents actually laughed about it, said they'd seen crazy HOA cases, but never like this. Karen, of course, posted a photo of their SUV online, claimed she'd resolved suspicious activity. She believed her own hype. The tow truck driver who got roped into all this filed a complaint against Karen. Turns out, she'd tricked him with a forged order, promised him cash, claimed my truck was an abandoned RV. After the alarms went off, he was done, said he'd never seen a rig like that, and he'd hauled circus trailers and government cars. Whatever she's smoking, it ain't legal. By then, the whole neighborhood was split. Some people avoided Karen. Some laughed behind closed doors. Some just wished it would all end. But Karen cranked it up, handed out flyers about covert militarization, left one on my windshield with a drawing of me shooting laser beams from my eyes. I kept it for laughs. Then local news showed up, vans rolling in like it was a disaster zone, covering my driveway as if they might step on a landmine. Headlines? Local hero bomb tech harassed by HOA over suspicious vehicle. Karen loved the attention, started holding driveway press conferences, accusing Homeland Security of being truck sympathizers. She even accused my dog of canine psychological intimidation. No joke. One neighbor, June, brought me a pie and whispered, "Never trust someone who wears sunglasses after sundown." But it got serious. A formal complaint was filed with the state, claiming I was storing live explosives. That's a career ender if it sticks. The language? Pure Karen. Threat to children, truck fortress, military infiltration. She crossed the line. I called in backup Lyle, old squad mate turned city liaison. He listened, then laughed. Suburban warfare's worse than combat. He walked with me to the HOA clubhouse, explained to the board that false reports about tactical vehicles can get you criminal charges. Karen flipped, called an emergency HOA meeting, declared herself interim president, proposed banning all emergency vehicles unless pre-approved by her, of course. Tom, a quiet neighbor, finally snapped, "I don't want to die in a fire because Karen doesn't like decals." The room went dead silent. Even the board was starting to crack. Then came the dummy incident. I had a training mannequin in the truck, clearly labeled inert. Karen, thinking she'd finally found the smoking gun, ran across my lawn, grabbed it, and sprinted down the street screaming, "I've got the bomb." Frank, a retired Marine, intercepted her. "Ma'am, that's a mannequin." She collapsed on a neighbor's lawn just as the sprinkler kicked on, soaking her. You couldn't write better slapstick if you tried. Police kept getting called. Karen accused me of broadcasting hallucinations from my truck. By now, HOA meetings were standing room only. People brought popcorn. I handed the board a cease and desist packet, reviewed by state legal. Karen shouted about dangerous individuals with unknown affiliations, brought in her paralegal consultant, a part-time actor from community theater. He tried to cite fake amendments. Security, the guy who watches the pool gate, had to escort him out. Half the board resigned, refusing to go to jail over death ray antennas. Karen, undeterred, handed out flyers declaring herself interim leader. She banned trucks, antennas, decals. Someone asked if that meant ambulances too. She shrugged, rules are rules. But here's the kicker: while she raged, I filed to have my street reclassified as an emergency access zone. When a city sign went up, stripping HOA authority over my vehicle, Karen lost it. Tried to cut it down with garden shears caught on video. Neighbors started openly mocking her. I filed criminal complaints about her checkpoint stunt and theft of the dummy. The sheriff's office took interest, watching Karen more closely than ever. Then, the final blow: city officials padlocked the HOA clubhouse for abuse of power. The vice president, walking past, murmured, "Guess you shouldn't have tried to arrest a bomb tech." For the first time, Karen didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, clutching her clipboard. A week later, the air felt lighter. I threw a barbecue, bomb truck parked like a parade float, balloons, music, ribs on a grill. Neighbors brought lawn chairs, played games, laughed. Kids ran around like nothing had ever happened. For the first time in months, nobody was looking over their shoulder, waiting for the next explosion of nonsense. Then Karen appeared, oversized hat, trench coat, sunglasses, looking like she was auditioning for a cartoon villain. Someone cracked, "Is that Karen or the Matrix?" Laughter rippled. She hovered near the grill, muttered about federal grilling codes, but nobody took the bait. The sheriff showed up, clapped me on the shoulder, told the crowd, "This man is familized, exactly the kind of neighbor you want." Cheers broke out. Karen tried to protest, but was drowned out. Right then, a process server handed her a thick envelopia restraining order. Several neighbors had filed together. Within a week, her house was up for sale. New family moved in. Navy vet, his wife, painted over the fence, planted flags, invited me over for lemonade. No complaints, just peace. And that viral video? 5 million views. Parodies, memes, musical remixes. Sometimes my face pops up as the calm guy in the chaos. That's fine by me. Karen tried to blow up my life, but ended up making it bulletproof. The truck still sits in my driveway, the air is quiet, and sometimes the loudest justice is just letting nonsense collapse under its own weight. You know what I mean? So tell me, who's the real threat to the neighborhood? The guy with the bomb squad truck, or the one who tried to start a war with it? If you've ever tangled with a Karen, or just lived through HOA madness, drop your story below, because in suburbia, everyone's got a battle. And you better believe justice comes in all kinds of explosions.